everyone, and welcome to Connecting with the Stars with me, Mary Edwards. I'm so happy to have you here, Becca B. Nice to see you today. After a brief introduction on Becca, we will talk about today about connection or about our cosmology of the stars, and she'll share a bit about herself, and then we'll dive into our interview today. So anyway, Becca B is an ascension guide and an evolutionary galactic astrologer, specializing in trauma release, blueprint repatterning, and self-empowerment. Through soul coaching, QHHT, human design, and quantum astrology, her joy is guiding through the owner's manual of our divine blueprint. Love that. And bringing to light the knowledge that we all once knew. So, wow, that's incredible. Talk about perfect timing. You're really aligned with the alignment and acceleration right now of what's going on here in January of 2023. So I'd love you to share a bit about when you first realized you had your beautiful gifts. You have many, I already know, after we've spoken many times. And it's just an honor to have you here today. So why don't you just dive in with your story, and then we can continue on with our conversation here today.
Oh, Mary, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here with you. I'm just excited to have fun sharing this conversation with you. So if at any times you have any questions about anything, I love to be able to expand it more and more for all of our consciousness. This is really the joy for me. My journey has been that basically I have questioned a lot in this lifetime since I was young. And I'm probably not going to go too far back. I have a childhood experience like many that I'm here to be of assistance to. This is where I really have been drawn to the path of assisting many of us from healing from our traumas from the past, from our youth, maybe that we even came into within this lifetime, but that we don't have to carry it. We don't have to wear it like a badge, and it doesn't have to be our story. In fact, many times those very experiences that we went through are exactly the way that we get to be an upliftment and to be a healer and a helper, not only for our own self within our memories that we're bringing forward, but how we might be able to share our own experience to be able to help others realize that we're not alone. I think that's been kind of one of the biggest things I've seen for so many of us. And when I say us, I really mean us, all humanity, all that get on that path of beginning to ask that question. Who am I? Why am I here? Like, is there more to life than just walking through the ladder of all the things I was told to do to be a good human in this lifetime, and that there's so much of an impulse that we really have within our heart and our soul right now that I feel is being accelerated. It's being accelerated through the planetary alignments, through the solar activity that's happening, through the great year alignment that's happening. So this is our it's more than an evolutionary. This is just a greater cycle that as our sun does a dance in the sky with the Sirius star system, as it starts to come back together again, our consciousness starts to get all really excited to be more of a soul-based energy that starts to say, hey, wait a minute. I know there's more to just the mundane of the everyday and the physical experience. Let's start to remember on a soul level who we are. And that's what I think so many of us on planet Earth are experiencing right now more than ever. I think we've kind of chatted a little bit before how, it's like I had the experience as a child, I feel as though you've had the same experience as a child, that we couldn't talk about these things. We couldn't talk about the thoughts that we had, maybe the thoughts of off-planetary things, questioning maybe some of the systems or the beliefs that we were taught. And so there was a sense of, for many of us, of being lonely, feeling as though we were different, feeling as though we didn't belong, feeling as though there was something wrong with us. And this, in a lot of ways, has created for a lot of what I'll just refer to as star seeds, light workers, those that are on a path of evolution through consciousness, that there has just been a sense within that it's not safe to speak out.
Right. Well, we were all told to keep our trap shut, never explain, never complain. So I think you're absolutely right. I mean, we both started young, and a lot of us here did that we're talking to. And it's all about healing, anchoring our soul while we elevate and ascend. And really, I feel whole really now for the first time in my life. And my voice is open, my heart is open, all of our work that we've all been doing to get towards the truth, the inner truth, the self-love, the love of each other, the acceptance of each other. It's been a, ongoing 70-year sort of battle and a long cycle. So here we are in the middle of a brand new renaissance, a brand new shift right now as we enter this year and next year, which are so important that I know you'll be talking about. It's the timing. It's the beautiful divine timing of we are all here together as the love army and the love warriors and the love angels to help each other share our inner soul and really get to that so we can be the most effective to play our part in the ripple effect of this beautiful time on Mother Earth and Father Sky that we are here now to share together. And that's why your timing is so perfect that we're talking today, because you've spent a lot of time in your many, many years too here analyzing this. And I agree with everything you said. It's the time of truth and love and unity, as we know, more than ever. And going back into the soul, it's not just wanting to reach up to the higher levels, but it's the combination of anchoring and elevating and activating all the parts of our dimensions here and now, so we can sort of keep up and keep manifesting and setting our intentions to be wholer, happier, healthier people, and share our stories so everyone can, because everyone has their own stories, and it's really about healing and love and moving, understanding that and then moving forward together. So I'll let you continue, but I just wanted to put that in too, because I think that loneliness piece was devastating for me and you and many, that not being understood, not being heard, not being able to really speak our truth. As now it's wide open. I mean, thankfully during COVID, we went inside, we were forced inside, wouldn't have done it on our own, I don't think. So there were many benefits of coming home to ourselves through that time, isolation and confined in our homes, to reconnect for the first time and remember what family is. And really for the first time as communicative, honest, transparent conversations appeared. They were forced to, because there was so many questions for all of us kids wanting to grow up and wake up at the same time.
Right.
So anyway, I continue, but I think you're totally spot on, and I think we all feel it, and we are happy to be at this stage where we can share so honestly about all the good and the ups and downs, because that will always be here, and balancing the good and the evil and the fear and the love, et cetera, that we're all trying to work through, of just that acceptance for ourselves and others.
Yeah. And the collective aspect that you brought up is so important. This isn't an individual journey. This is, you're saying how a major event that happened that really affected the entire planet, was such a powerful catalyst for so many people to begin to question, to go inward. And this is a beautiful example of how we are a collective consciousness. We are planetary consciousness. And so that you also kind of brought up the energy of the Divine Mother and Divine Father Sky. This is a huge year, 2023, that I feel so many of us are going to be expanding back into that sacredness of the Divine Sophia, the divine energy of Earth Mother, really reconnecting again to what it means to be a part of a planetary consciousness, not just an individual or even a human species. Because this is something I like to joke a little bit about, is that humans really kind of do have this perspective here on Earth that they're it. They're the species of Earth. And, you know, it's like, no, we are sharing this planetary body with many other species. Inner Earth races, there are incredibly advanced beings that exist right within the inner Earth, within the multidimensional spheres of this planet. We are not the only species on this planet. And I feel this is a pivotal moment in our awareness where we are going to start waking up to actually having this shared communication again with the inner Earth races, with the different levels of planetary consciousness, so that we start to learn to make these decisions from an evolutionary way. How do we all grow together? So this is something that I think is really, really special. And within this, you know, coming back to what you were saying, that, you know, we all have a different story. And this is where I get really excited, because we do. We all have a different story. And what I feel with a passion within my heart, I think if anything from my time growing up, this is probably my little bit of stubbornness in there, to not just go along with what they were telling me to believe, is part of what got me going in this lifetime. And that is that, a lot of our history just doesn't line up, just doesn't make sense. And as that question starts to really percolate within our mind and how we think, then we get to start to look at, hey, what is our history? What are we missing? Because we've heard the phrase before, and pardon me, I don't remember who to quote for this, but it's the phrase that if we don't remember our history, if we don't remember the past, we're doomed to repeat it.
Right. And a lot of us do, until we get whammed over or by ourselves with a 2x4 over our head.
Mhm.
I had 2 marriages. I had 2 this. Why do I keep repeating and repeating? It's this vicious circle that we get dumbed down to get stuck in, that sort of negative, fear-based framework of existence. And now we are waking up and breaking down those barriers. And, you know, I say I'm coming out of the ET closet that I've known about since I was 5 years old, and I'm 71. And we are all coming into our own truth and our own confidence together by sharing, like what we're doing right now. And I've spoken about this and been on your show, and you are now on mine, which I'm so happy to have you here with, talking about, is the importance of not only us waking up, but helping our children wake up, because they are our future. And a lot of, you know, many of the kids today, you know, we learn our brain is pretty much fixed by, or just about by age 1, with the cultural, you know, judgment is religion, as judgment is of culture, of all these different things. So if we can be the role model and stay open and stay positive and say, you know, actually right now, history is nothing, maybe a lot of nothing that we were taught. It's changing every second. Our cells and our bodies, our minds, our history is rethinking and regrouping and rechanging and updating every second. So that's part of why we need to be open to the possibilities, to not be set in our ways, when no matter what age we are, for 1 or 101, to stay open, because yes, they are living here now. We are one community. The extraterrestrials will be, they're already, what, 3 or 4% living on Earth now. They're right below our feet. They're right above us. They're right next to us. They are here. And like we know, and many of us listening, they've helped us tremendously, grooming us, helping us, teaching us, and are daily reminders to have good personal hygiene, emotional, spiritual hygiene, to be the best that we can be, to let go of the judgments I'm still working on. I mean, we're not God, so we have to keep working on, I think, because our thoughts are the way we are. Our thoughts are us. And if we can let go of some of those negative thoughts in this singular and group collective that we are, we help each other grow and thrive to be the best we can be. And that's all we can ask for, is to be the best we can be, and try to improve a little teeny bit every day so we can spread our little ripple like we are right now throughout, to help others have the courage and the availability and the safety to talk about all the fears we've all had from all different angles, because nobody has not had abuse in some way. I mean, I was bullied, I've had sexual abuse, emotional abuse, we all have. I mean, in our own personal lives. And people, until we share that and really get it out of ourselves and get it out of our homes, whether it's a negative, lead-based paint, or it's a chair that has bad vibes, we're looking at all the different layers and levels and dimensions and multisensory effects today that are helping enhance our awareness to ourselves, our bodies, our connecting our inner and outer space, whether it's at home or speaking here with others. We have to really look carefully at all the different areas that we can really improve if we so want to. And if we don't, that's fine, but we are all open to help each other on all these dimensions and all these levels right here now today, and for particularly these next couple of years of these huge changes that we have the opportunity to jump on and really thrive in.
Yeah. And this is beautiful, because this is about the micro, the macro. So kind of like knowing our own story, first of all, is really, really helpful. But as we start to kind of see our own stories that are potentially cycling within us, so this is going to kind of tie into the idea of the blueprint, our own owner's manual, if you will, that inevitably it opens us up to start to begin to have an awareness of planetary memories, our true history, which I feel we have been denied for a very, very long time upon this planet. So as many of us are starting to reconnect to our own stories, and the way that we're doing this is really by having the ability to start to catch the cycles, the patterns, the belief systems that we do have within ourselves. These are held within our morphogenetic field, within our records, within our DNA, how we hold them. So therefore, when we start to learn how to pay attention to how we are reacting to things throughout the day, that we might start to go like, oh, wow, isn't that interesting? They were just talking to me, but I felt myself get a hot flash. I felt myself be embarrassed. I felt myself want to shy away or run away, or I felt myself wanting to be defensive. There's a lot of subtleties to this idea of mindfulness, where we could start to really observe ourselves. And as we do, we'll see these little moments where we're going like, isn't that interesting? That in truth, it's our own perception of these situations that cause us to react in these ways. And we can understand in a lot of ways that our reactions are coming from our past experiences. If we've had traumatic experiences, we might not be comfortable being in a room with others. We might not be comfortable with certain types of touch, or opening ourselves to vulnerability, or so on and so forth. And that all of these, when we learn how to acknowledge them with love, with gentleness, with a way of just being present and witnessing the feelings that are coming forward, we now have what is known as this doorway, or this portal, that can take us to the place of origin, wherever it originated, so we can begin to sense, feel, and acknowledge where the story came from. Not to retell the story, not for it to be an excuse, but instead to be able to honor it.
And forgive it, because, oh my gosh, and I was in fight or flight for so long, and my forgiving, my courage to forgive, which it takes a lot of us time to let go of some of those negative thoughts for relationships or work and private life and marriages. It's the letting go. And I was so stubborn. You mentioned being stubborn. I'm really stubborn too. We hold on to those because we believe it's our, and it's this old story that is so exhausting and so boring and doesn't serve us at all. So that forgiving and letting go and surrendering to allow the energy and the space for the new positive to come in, like you say, and redo our blueprint. We can, we're changing our DNA and our cellular patterns every second of every day when we want to. I mean, we can change our blueprints, and many of us need to and want to desperately, and didn't really have the tools until recently. For people like you and others, all of us helping each other to expand and go to get the tools, like the blueprint tools, the toolkit, to go, okay, I need to meditate, I need to do yoga, I need to be outside every day, I need to get off my cell phone more, I need to relax more and regroup throughout the day, spend more time in nature, to really re-pattern ourselves so we can shift and open up all these spaces and places for love and forgiveness and connection.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so as we start to get to find these places where these reactions come from, they many times lead us to our memories, to things that have happened to us. And this is really part of the path of awakening for many of the star seeds on the planet. I know for myself, I had quite intense visitation, extraterrestrial visitation as a child. And it scared me.
Me too.
Yep. It scared me because it was happening every night, every night, every night. And I would be awake, I would be paralyzed, I would be taken, I would be aware, but I couldn't move. It was dark, it was alone, in these experiences as I was within these scenarios that were completely unexplainable to any of the environment where I was born. I was raised in an environment that really saw things from black or white, through a very religious lens or viewpoint. So either something was very good or very bad, right? And so therefore, the experiences that I was having were basically described to me as just like, oh, you're just making it up. Oh, I'm sure it's just a bad dream. Just go back to sleep. It's okay. You just probably had a nightmare or something to this effect. And within this really drove me with a passion. I'll be honest, like these experiences were so traumatic, especially between the ages of 5 to 7, where I was much more aware of them. There were memories before them, but between 5 and 7, they got much more frequent and intense, to the point where I felt as though I probably traumatized or split in some way.
That was exactly my time frame too. And you carry that and trauma for a long time until we start trying to figure it out. And because we're alone and can't have conversations with anybody about it, oh, you've just got a great imagination, Mary, or like just nothing. But it is, and we're still letting go of the trauma over time. Every day, the more work we do, the more we are aware of it, address it, and let it go. It goes, and we become better, happier, more balanced people that can help others go through their steps to release it.
That's exactly it. I know that my path right now is really helping those of us that went through these experiences that haven't had the voice or the ability to be open, that we're just coming out into this area of, oh my gosh, I can talk about this and people aren't calling me crazy right now.
Right. Woo, what a concept, right? Me too. It's like how refreshing that we're at the time where a lot of those taboos, the veil is thinning, the information is coming out partly because of COVID. We were all trying to figure out all of these things. And it was just, I got glimpses of it in the 60s, but, awakening a little bit there, and then it got shoved down again. But now is the time for total openness and letting go and that surrendering of all the pain of the past so we can move on. And I'm much happier. Like today, I'm happier than I was yesterday. Every day we can take steps to let go, forgive. And it's not forgetting, it's forgiving. And those are the toughest. We believe, it's hard to let go of some of those traumas like I had, and you had, many of us listening to this have had early on. But thank you, God. Thank you, Source. Thank you, all our special friend, galactic family, for helping us to be aware of your love and your support and the guidance, and the daily attention and rebooting of our own skills so we can help others help themselves and each other.
Mhm. And I feel the acceleration of this is just gonna go fast. Like right now, it's kind of like, oh, this is amazing. But I feel as though it's going so fast, and the guides have already been really transitioning the energy to all of the focus really on the children. That in a lot of ways, my passion is sitting there going like, okay, on a visceral level, I know what it was like to go through this as a child. What would it be like if we could start to utilize these tools that we're awakening to, that we're really starting to bring back, and now be able to have them as like accessible and working with them immediately from when a child is born, so that we have the ability to nurture these children, support them, give them the environment that they need. Being able to correct the energy, right?
Right.
Quite the word, but it was the idea is that we can create the supportive environments for them that are supporting their very sensitive nervous systems, their empathic abilities, their heightened psychic and intuitive capabilities. These children are coming through so amazing, and their little bodies are having such a hard time trying to figure out how to run so much energy through them. And really, us doing the work, the parents doing the work, though the grandparents doing the work, that when we take the time to learn our own blueprint, learn our own owner's manual, really get in there and start to understand our own energy, come to that neutrality of compassion within ourselves to the past so that we can be our freedom. Now we are the living pillar of light example for our kids
Yes.
and our grandkids to now start to create these communities, which I feel these the hybrid races and the different children that are, I feel the children being born are the hybrid children.
Well, they are. I mean, they are our hybrid children. And,
You know,
the book that Barbara and I did was totally for kids, kids' adventures with ET friends in space. And I'm working on a new book now because our kids are our future. And unless the parents buy the book, but we want to start earlier to have children understand, and by the mere fact that the parents are reading the book with the child, like what Barbara Lamb and I have known so well over the last couple of years since our book came out. People go, well, my 3-year-old pointed at a little gray and said, oh, I've seen one of those. So if we can start shifting the old ancestral patterns to the positive new ones, to include our children in the conversation, because that's what we need. We need to be the role model. I don't have grandchildren yet, but I have 2 children in my 30s, in their 30s. And I've talked to them about this, all this for my whole life. And I just said, if I go tomorrow, you will know exactly about my ET experiences, all my hybrid children. You actually don't even know it yet or want to know it yet, but you have hybrid children, you have hybrid children too. And you are here to carry on the ancestry of our family, the wonderful parts, and help others come out of the dark with some of the negative, because we all have positive and negative.
Yeah.
You're so right. It's the blueprint for the future. It's shift. If we don't shift, our kids can't shift and others can't shift. And I've gone into a few different preschools with a couple of my other books that didn't have ETs in them, to talk about space and the beauty of space and connect with the stars and connect with the stories we can share with them. I mean, nature's free. All you have to do is walk outside. You can go chill out, walking. I go 5 minutes to the beach. I go out to my patio in my trees. I look up at the stars every morning in the dark and every night in the dark. We can find pieces of the puzzle every day that we can help our children with. It's not all rocket science. My dad was a rocket scientist, as you know. It's not all rocket science. It's loving, caring, listening is caring, reading is caring, helping them keep their minds open to what is already here and will be coming, to the possibilities of all the beauty that are vast, huge, all the millions of universes that we have, because we are not alone and they are not alone. And I think that's, we're both preaching to the same choir, but it's really about this new blueprint. It's not just in the confine of our body or our homes. It's really the energetic blueprint that is expanding at the speed of light right now, that we are all sort of keeping up with and want to learn and know as quickly as we can, because it's happening very fast. And just the importance of the next couple of years to keep opening and trying to stay in tune with these this new information that's coming out really daily about the planets and ourselves and the importance of our energetic system, and eating properly, sleeping properly, the basic rules of thumb of balance of our psyche, balance of our psychology, balance of our homes and lives, and particularly how including the children, which we were not included in really in the 50s and 60s and 70s in certain ways. And you and I both have talked about it today and other times, but the speed is happening, and we want to jump on board and in all different ways and see how we can shift to and help the children and each other, because the parents need to include the children in these conversations. As difficult as they may be, we can do it in simple, positive ways, and also be realistic that they're, like you and I have had experiences that were difficult as children, that's part of life, that there are good and it's good and bad, and welcome to the world. I'm finally accepting that now as a senior. I accept that I have to deal with the negative parts, because I've tried to escape that my whole life, because I'm so sensitive to negativity, and I just can't be around other people, and I won't be around. I choose every day to maybe eliminate or get rid of any other negativity that I can choose to not be included in my life. And it works. It works. We know that, right?
Well, the beautiful thing, and this is just my feeling, is the children are the solution. They are not only the solution because they are our future, but they are the solution because they are incredibly advanced.
Yes.
They are the upgraded version, and they are coming through from different star systems, many of them coming from Alpha Centauri, who are coming through with the technologies, with the solutions. They hold them right within themselves, and all we need to do is be able to be open enough so that when they start to share these creative, imaginative ideas with us, that we're not discounting them as all like, oh, that's neat, that's creative. It's more kind of like, tell me more. I'd love to know. Could you draw it for me? Could you share more with me? How would it work? Because a lot of the technology they're bringing forward is so advanced that we're going to think it's sci-fi or something that they're just like, again, that most of us might from our own programming be like, oh, that's just your imagination. But no, this is how so many of the solutions are coming in. They're being born and bringing in the solutions for exactly what divine Gaia, divine Sophia needs. And this is kind of tying back into the earth energy, coming back into planetary consciousness. Because when we really start to understand how did we used to live in sacred union with the earth, a lot of us will go back into our minds of history, and it'll feel as though it was more archaic, less evolved, and that could be further from the truth. When we really step back into what was it like in Atlantean times, what was it like in Lemurian times, what was it like in the time of Mu, the technologies were here. This planet was far more advanced than it is now. And the sacred wisdom teachings that were anchored into the temples, anchored in with the priestesses, anchored in with the divine lineages, held not only the sacredness of how to work with the earth, but it was so advanced that it was about the astronomy, the astrology, the sequences, the mathematics, how to work with the divine union of the universe, of creation.
And like we say, we go back to, I mean, when I was in art history in age 18 in 1969, and I saw a UFO in there, and I'd already seen them. It was like, yes, art, pictographs, petroglyphs. You know, I've traveled around the world. You probably have too, in physical and non-physical form. the stories are there in crop circles. They have been sending us tips and energies and clues daily, universally, since the beginning of man. And now we are waking up to those stories that they wrote and carved into stone at and all those, many of the places we've been to and have explored. The stories are coming alive now in a whole nother way. And yes, our children are the new information. Every generation is the new improved version, and that's why they're teaching us more than we could ever teach them. But
Absolutely.
a lot of those children, a lot of the children now, and I've talked to many of them, my friends' children and grandchildren, like I'm sure you have, is, there's so much PSTD now, from fear of floods to friends of mine who, their kids are still at 6 and 8 traumatized by Santa Barbara, having to move out of their house in the middle of the night and their house water blowing away. I mean, their home blowing away, floating away. And we're reliving it again. The shootings in the schools. I don't like to go into negativity, but the kids, a lot of the other kids, that aren't coming in necessarily maybe as wise, have a lot of trauma. And the parents are so stuck and freaked out. They've lost their jobs. They've had to move. Everything changed. I mean, COVID brought on a lot of good and a lot of like crazy changes for people they're still adjusting to. And that's why we see a lot of people just going completely ape shit. I mean, going, where do we go? Do we move? Do we do this? And then, you can work from home and now you have to come back into the office. A lot of my friends here in San Francisco, young friends, have gotten, fired from Twitter and Google. I mean, so even the millennials are having new shifts right now. So it's, we reach out to all of those children because they are traumatized in different ways that we didn't have. We had different traumas, every generation does, but these kids, some of the PSTD, these new forms of PSD, I'd never heard of till recently on NPR and many different calls that I'm on about, floods and fear of fires, because of what we grew up with here in California the last decade. So anyway, everyone needs to be healed and touched, like we know in these new times, and because the parents are equally traumatized right now. I mean, downtown San Francisco, friends of mine, a lot of my friends have lost their homes again, and they had just rebuilt them from years ago, or they're moving again. So I think, with the amazing times that are happening right now, we have to obviously reach out and touch all these levels of people that are still going through different traumas, and balance that out with simple tools of calm to find stillness and peace through meditation, through yoga, through going out in nature, because it is free. It's right outside our door if and when we can get out there. In these, because the East and the West Coast are being hit, and all over the country is being hit. But
I think it's important to, again, remember this is why it's important for us to get our memories back.
Yes.
Because the PTSD comes from, a lot of times, it's a way in which our body traps a lot of the emotions through the experience. It is a lot, but it gets trapped within the emotions. There's not a way to process it out. There's not a safe way to talk about it, to heal it, to let it flow through. So therefore it becomes a trapped feeling, fear, emotion within the body that is just constantly like a hot wire that's being triggered over and over. And again, when we start to remember our history, we start to now honor from a larger perspective the greater cycles. And we would start to kind of have an understanding of, well, first of all, if we do look at a lot of how the earth progression and development has gone, how much of the earth development do you think has been in honor with asking Divine Sophia? Are we building this in your honor? Is this new factory a good thing for you? Is this going to help? And, so there's kind of that aspect where we've kind of been on our own and thinking we can do it all on our own. Human beings, let's just take off and do whatever we want. And who cares what the trees need? Who cares what the animals need? We've thrown things a bit out of balance in a lot of ways, but then there's also these larger cycles that are actual natural cosmic cycles. These solar cycles aren't something that is like, oh my gosh, this has never happened before. And that during these times, if we were more in tune with the earth, I feel as though we would be more in tune to kind of knowing how to work with her. We would be the acupuncture points. We would be the conduits that would be able to stabilize the new higher frequencies coming through so that the earth changes wouldn't be so dramatic. And that's just one concept. It's just a thought, but
No, and we're doing that now. Look at all the amount of people that
yep.
are doing gardens or moving out of the cities to go be connected to the earth. I mean, I've seen this because I'm older, we've had these cycles, and that it's gone on since mankind, because we want to shift. People are doing it because they could because offices said you can go off and live wherever you want. People are getting healthier. People are eating better and going. Obesity, 1 out of 2 Americans. I mean, I think there are lots of opportunities for change for everyone, whatever their stressors were. People are getting back to connected to the land and to earth and to Gaia. I grew up with my father, one of my grandfathers was a rocket scientist like my dad, but my other grandfather was an architect who actually standardized 2x4s and really taught me and my sisters and our family about sustainability. And I've gone to sustainability school. We are coming back to some sustainable practices in our minds, bodies, and spirits that I grew up with, of non-toxic environments, non-toxic inside and out, that I got from, that you and I both got. It's a new beginning of going back. I had gardens my whole life. I lived in Boulder for 10 years. I was growing corn. People said you can't grow corn in Boulder in your backyard. I said, yes, I can. And I did. My son has a huge garden a few blocks from here. They live off their, because we can have, we have gardens all year long here in California, which is why I love being here, because for 40 years, because we can be outside all year long and be planting. So anyway, I think we are coming back to those natural things that we lost in the Industrial Revolution at the turn of the century. And then I got into money and things and purchase and wars and, greed and other areas. And now we're coming back to, hey, I want to live differently. I want to feel. I want to come back to some empathy. I want to spend more time outdoors. I want to walk on the beach. I want to take pictures of the butterflies. Look at the flourishment of art and design and products and books, on coloring books. And I'm working on a few different things for kids. We are at a time to really re-engage and not only remember, but offer it to our children and to adults and to seniors of whatever age we are. This new refreshing and re-uplifting and space lifting ourselves and our places to connect with Mother Nature. I came out thinking water was God as a child. I was like, how do I get to feel like my trees and my critters and my friends in my backyard in Lake Michigan that I grew up on as a little girl? That helped me with some of my early trauma, painting rocks and doing art. We can express ourselves through art and music and poetry. I mean, creativity is coming back full time, imagination, and the way we can express ourselves, get our cellular attachments and negativity and sadness and pain and PSTD and trauma out of our bodies through all the multi-sensory, multi-dimensional practices that there are now. I mean, it's really fun. Like we were saying in the beginning, this is going to be fun. There are so many opportunities for us to shift at our home that don't cost a lot of money. Grounding our feet, hugging a tree, going outside, looking at the stars, buy a telescope, go just be outdoors, and with practicing other tools to go deeper inside. But it's really about inner and outer connection, which I have always liked the term, ourselves to pure the way we were when we were born, because we were pure when we were born, and then we learn, and then we relearn, and then now we're continuing to relearn at this pace, quicker process that we're getting in right now, that we're being forced to keep up with, which is really good. So I love what you're saying too. It really is this reconditioning, replanning our blueprint and our energies, and looking at life in a different way, of all the possibilities and the positivity through these new these new shifts that we're all feeling. It's really beautiful, and we're really all very grateful for this time now to reboot and refresh and change ourselves, upgrade ourselves and other people around us.
Yeah, so what you're saying is exactly, it's about us first doing the work, because again, if we're holding any of the fear around some of what the earth changes are going through, then we can't be the support for our children as to helping them make sense of it. So, because children are incredible, if we can be a mirror for them and allow them to have the experience of connecting with it, understanding it, it'll be something they will be able to pass through them on an energetic level that doesn't become a PTSD or a trauma for them. And then also they can start to let that channeling of their incredible wisdom or ideas begin to come through. As I just love listening to them when they come up with the little ideas and the solutions that many times I'm like, that's brilliant. Yes.
Me too. It's like they're coming up with things that we're talking about now as older women, right? I mean, not that you're old, but I mean, just they get it. They are born with it and they see it. So we just have to give them the opportunity to have their truth. And we hear it, and it's beautiful. So we just need to get some of us who've been around a little bit longer to clean out some of I call it cleaning out the cooties. And I've been cleaning out a lot of my cooties the last couple of years and many years since the beginning, because I didn't know why I felt so alone, so weird, so different. I thought it was just maybe learning issues or ADHD, which we didn't even know back then. And then of course it was the trauma that since I didn't get spoken to about it till recently, with my dad, who's upstairs now, and right here. But he said, I'm sorry I couldn't speak to you for your whole life. And I said, I was so mad at you. Why didn't you share with me all the beautiful things that you've now told me that you were going through the same thing I was, from ET experiences to off-planet travel to all those things. He said, I couldn't because of his work. So, and a lot of our parents didn't have the capacity or the knowledge to help us. So we forgive them, because each time, parents pass on what we know. And I say to my kids, if I pass tomorrow, take the 3 best things that you remember from me and 3 best things from my former husband. And I said, focus on those, and also focus on the fears that you saw. And we talk about those a lot, because as a single parent, I was sitting at the head of the table when they were 6 and 7 going, okay, I want you to be the best you can be. And you're a boy and you're a girl and you're both equal. So I changed some of my ancestral shift, as we all do in this generation when we have children and grandchildren, because we want them to be as whole as they can be and connect their dots in the most open, positive way with them and other people too, as we continue on, when we're here or not here. It doesn't matter, because we're always watching anyway. And they will be getting the help, and they get the tools if they so choose to continue on in whatever fashion they like to. But I'm proud of mine, because they're both doing incredible things, and they listen, and they're doing their great lives. And if I go tomorrow, I'm a happy mom and a happy camper that they got the love and support that they needed to follow on both of their paths, and they did, and they are.
The love and support, that is such a beautiful thing, and just to kind of add within this is that's just kind of bringing back to that beauty and that awareness of how we used to operate upon the planet, when we really were holding a higher level of consciousness. And higher level of consciousness is really meaning that we live our life not so narrowly focused on, are we okay? Are we safe? Is our kids safe? It's actually starting to higher level of consciousness, being aware of not only planetary consciousness, galactic consciousness, multiple species, multiple races, multiple constellations and star systems, because they really truly are, the constellations, the star systems are our larger family tree. And so even within ancient times, one of the tools that was utilized, especially even if you look at even the time of the Essenes were actually a tribe or a sect of the Druids. There were many different types of Druids around the planet. And all of these beings were holding the ancient wisdom, the ancient planetary wisdom. And this is that they would look at the birth chart of a child. before they were born. As they kind of came into the awareness of this child coming through, they would have already known the birth chart of the mother, the father, the energy of the child coming through. And as that child was born, they would immediately be looking at that chart in order to read the energy within it. This is our blueprint. This is our owner's manual. And as we look at this, then there is the absolute ability of being able to start to see the uniqueness within it and the unique path that soul is here to be. And then for the parents, so within those times, the parent and the community utilize that information to completely support that child's path.
Right. Well, I had Lizzie and Alex's chart done in 1988 and 1990. They're about 17 months apart. And I thought, oh my God, talk about two different children. All kids are different. We're all different. Of course, Earthling carry more emotion than a lot of some of the other galactic, not species, but galactics. But I went, oh my gosh, so I need to be prepared for two opposite different things. I was one of three girls. We were all supposed to sort of be the same in the 50s. We were always I was one of three. I never was, and I always was like, we're all really different, I'm this, you're that, I'm not jealous of you. You don't want to be me, and I don't want to be you, but we are all here taking our genes and using our genetic awareness and what our purpose is on the planet, which I've always believed in. But when I saw that blueprint on the astrology chart, that first breath they take, as you well know, because you do this too, and I've updated it over the decades, but it was they're exactly at 32 and 34, what I sort of expected they might be, because I got help. I mean, they chose us and we chose them. But that was very helpful. Let's talk about an instant blueprint of what to possibly expect. And of course, there's free will and, passions that, people don't necessarily know about. Life changes. But that was so helpful to me with them. And it's beautiful. And I've always believed in getting as much information as I can from as many different sources, because life is a prism of light and color and ups and downs and different perspectives. So I never just want one side. And that really helped me with my kids too, as I've grown and was a parent, going, what the heck do I do at this turn? And then I'd go inside and I'd follow my intuition and get more information, and we keep moving on, keep updating, keep changing, keep opening up to the new information that keeps coming in to help us make decisions. We know we have those choices every day to be better or positive, or pick or choose everything: thoughts, people, furniture, consciousness levels, how much we can handle at a time and at that time. But it is all about this attitude and choices that we make every day to advance and anchor and shift with this fast moving, beautiful world we're in right now. It's just beautiful, the choices we have. And there will be a lot of bumps this year, next, and forever. That's what we have all learned to expect and have to sort of deal with, all this weather and some of the division in our politics and all this crap, because we're rebooting everything right now. Everything had to crash and burn to rebirth and come back to the soul and come back to a level of purity that we're talking about right now. That's really beautiful.
It really is. It really is. And this is, I feel as the acceleration continues, as we be this gift to our children, as we first and foremost learn our own design, our own blueprint, our own owner's manual, we then start to understand how we are programmed in this reality, because it's really important, I feel, for us to also acknowledge that as much as we have not been aware of how we're influenced, there are forces, beings, however you want to refer to them, that do know how our consciousness is programmed. The Orion situation has found its way here to Earth, and the technologies that were used in Orion have been heavily used upon the planetary consciousness of humanity. I don't feel children have gone through traumas by accident. I think a lot of them have been very intentional, and that has been for the purpose to keep children traumatized through their adult years from wanting to ask questions. And that as we start to understand that, we start to actually stand up and say, no, I do not consent to that ever again. And as we start to become aware, get our memories back, then we stop letting history repeat itself, because history isn't just about Earth. We have to remember our galactic history and how it's played out. And as we get to remember this, this is where the children get to bring back this incredible information. We start to get to see how potentially we are influenced and affected by things from outside of us. So therefore, we start to learn to take our sovereignty and step off of it. I feel in a lot of ways there is an evolutionary path we take towards totally stepping off the astrology wheel, so to speak, out of letting the stars influence, to where we start to elevate into a place of sovereignty, to discernment within this. And that as we be that energy, any of the energy that has been feeding off of us, any of the energy that has been perpetuating the fear, the pain, the trauma on this planet, is going to have less and less of a capability to feed off of us. Therefore, it will change.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, Metatron said recently to me, if we just live in our being and our knowing, it's simply simplifying it down to exactly what you're saying. And it's not easy to get there. I mean, well, a lot of us will never really get there, but that's where we can aim. We can aim for understanding and digging deep to understand what this. And I used to say to my kids, and they said, strength through struggle. The more stuff we had, the trauma that I had to go through, you had to, we all had to, the higher we can come out and understand more. I mean, wow. I mean, what I've learned recently is like big, scary wow. And I've been learning as I'm capable of, that I'm supposed to, because I couldn't handle a lot of it unless a little bit of drip, drip, drip. Like our own disclosure is drip, 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 right? It's the same thing. And we are our disclosure. So anyway, as we wrap this up, Becca B, I love you. You are like the bee buzz creating honey and creating these beautiful networks and beehives around the world that you do. What a pleasure that we've met. And thank you so much for being here today. And can you let people know how to find you before we wrap it up, and just have some last parting words before we sign off here?
Oh, I would be honored. I have my website that's available. It's withbecca.com. So that is a way that anyone can get in contact with me. There's a way for you to use the contact form to connect with me directly. I also do have a YouTube channel, and maybe what I'll do is I'll just give you the link so you can put it on, so that people can find through the YouTube channel, or it's also available on my website. And from there, I share a lot of the information. I also have a membership group that it's just a community where we stay connected, where we support each other through all of these things like we've been talking about. And within it, I provide 2 meetings a week. I make it accessible for everyone around the world, just as a way that we keep the energy flowing, we keep connected, we keep just building this energy within ourselves, that yes, we're all going to be human. We're all going to feel a lot of the energy of what's happening on the planet. But the more that we create these conscious communities,
Right.
and I'm loving watching so many of them pop up. So
Right.
I create these different ones, find the ones that resonate for you, and connect with those beings, and just keep this energy vibrating, so that as you go through your day, if you do find challenges, you can keep coming back to that anchor point that just says, we got this.
Right. Oh, that's beautiful. I was honored to be on your show a few times as a speaker, and I just love, I'm connecting with the stars with me. You're connecting with you. It is we have wherever we can go to find peace and safety and conversation that you feel comfortable with. Dive in, go with the flow. We will just, if you just feel like there's something with Becca or me or anyone that you connect with on YouTube's or our channels, please do, because that's a sign that you feel connected to it. So just go in. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to. I'm still coming out now. I was sort of scared to get on some of these a few years ago, and now I love them because I'm learning so much. So anyway, thank you, Becca B, for buzzing around and spreading all your beauty and honey to all of us and here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.